Hello and welcome to Digipack Snacks, where we talk all the highs, all the lows, and all the long miles in between of traveling with kids. My name's Colin.
And I'm Meg.
And thank you for coming back. This is episode 7.
Wow.
We are full circle now. We have 7 episodes.
We're pros.
Yeah, we went from infancy, we're at toddler age right now.
Well, that 7, are you relating to children?
You know how like dog years are like different.
Okay, we're talking dog years.
In podcast years, 7 episodes is like, wow, you've been trucking at it.
Podcast years. Yeah. I mean, we've sustained, if you're listening to this and you've listened to all the episodes before this, will you just tell me so I can give you a hug?
So we know we're not the only ones. But also, yeah, it's a good achievement. And when we started to do this, we didn't know how many episodes we were going to do.
Right.
I was skeptical and I said, let's just do 6 and call it season 1, done.
But every time somebody sends us like a message or a photo of them like listening in the car, it spurs you on, doesn't it?
Yeah, it spurs us on. I'm excited for future episodes too.
Me too.
Because we're going to take this on the road. The reason why we got the rig that we did, everything is small and portable, is because in the future when we do travel, we want to bring it with us. And so you'll have episodes that are live from this country, live from that country, where we just take y'all along with us.
Yeah, and we'll get to talk in real time about our first impressions of places that we're visiting. You'll get real-time mistakes when we make them. It's going to be a lot of fun just to, take the podcast on the road.
So, keep following along. If you do enjoy this podcast, subscribe, like it, follow it, do all the stuff. Please, we would greatly appreciate it. But we got a good show for y'all today.
We've got a great show. But before we get into that,
okay,
I love to ask.
Yes.
How are you?
Well, I'm doing good.
Yeah?
I have a special drink with me today. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll see that I'm drinking this very summer drink. And the reason being, Megan got on to me yesterday. She said, you didn't drink enough water today. And by the end of the day, she managed to spout out all the things that I've drank that day. And she was right. I'm like, have you been spying on me all day? Anyways, I'm drinking a lot of water mixed with some orange juice and some berries, fresh cut berries from our fridge. So yes, I'm hydrated. How are you?
It's just because we get like all the fake things. Like we don't drink soda, but we drink something called Zevia. And I know that Colin bought some from the store. And so yesterday, it wasn't that I was spying. It was just like every 2 hours I heard that can pop. Yep. And I was like, there he goes again.
I drank 2.
It's just because your drink had a noise associated with it that it kind of tuned me in.
Well,
anyway.
I drank 2 and I pretty much drink coffee all day. We have switched to decaf. But yeah, I have my morning coffee, 3 o'clock coffee, and then there's after dinner coffee. Woo! I'm telling you, life with coffee is just awesome.
Yeah, that's why I'm the drink police, because you need water too.
Well, on that note, let me take another sip. How have you been?
I'm doing good. I'm excited. We have some, you're not going to be able to do that on the show, Colin. The metal straw is like really
I know, I'm just taking one sip and I'm putting it down.
Everyone, he's taking his last sip so we don't have to listen.
So hydrated.
I'm doing good though. We have some friends coming in town this week that are spending the week with us. That makes me really happy. We head to the beach once they leave. That makes me really happy.
Yeah.
And the best part about people coming to visit is we get a clean house.
Man,
like properly clean.
We can Airbnb this thing right now.
Well, everything except for our bedroom, because anytime I don't know where to put something, I just throw it in there. Yeah,
we got all the kids sleeping with us in the master this week.
Yeah.
And it's going to be fun. They got their sleeping bags.
It's going to be fun. And I love hosting because it's just a unique experience that you don't get very often. Most of the time you like hang out with your friends and then you all go back home. But it's extra fun when you can like play games late at night. It's not just me and Colin.
Wow.
So I'm really happy about that. And of course, happy to have a clean house because that just makes things better.
And then after that, we go to the beach.
I already said that.
Should we do an episode at the beach?
Live from 30A.
Live from Destin, Florida.
I mean, I would say there's not going to be much news, but they did make the news, like I shared a couple episodes ago.
Right.
With the bear in the ocean. And so who knows what mammal will be in the ocean this week.
Well, and that incident just kept going because every other day another news outlet would cover it.
Well, that and guess what not to keep talking about Destin, but guess what they found in the water this week?
What?
A 10-foot long hammerhead shark.
Nuh-uh.
Like legit hammerhead. I have not seen one of those.
Ever. I've never seen one ever.
I've never seen one in person, but I've not even thought about them, like, I don't know, since I was learning about the ocean in grade school.
Yeah.
But they're in the news, little hammerhead shark just cruising by. But the perk, again, why we go to 30A is the water is so clear.
You can see it.
You can see the shark approaching you, and that just feels really safe.
Yeah. Shout out to all the people that go vacation on the Atlantic. We do too. But man, do we have to keep safe. We got to look out for each other, okay?
I know. Those waters are murky.
Murky, dark, green sometimes.
Yeah, and you just never know how close wildlife is to
but
where
you know
you're
what?
standing.
You got to vacay where you can vacay, okay?
You got to. It's true. Anyway, we're going to have the next 2 weeks are really, really fun. So I'm looking forward to it.
Nice. We have a segment called Ask the People, though, right?
We do.
We didn't ask the people this week because it coincides with our episode.
Mm-hmm.
And today we're going to talk about all the bucket list things that we want to do, whether it's a stay or an experience or a country destination. So basically, this is like channel your wanderlust all into this one episode.
Yeah, we're just dreaming. And maybe we're like encouraging other people to share the same dreams, because we might be sharing an experience that you've not heard about yet or you've not thought about.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're just now ready to venture into it. And if you've gotten to do one of our bucket list dreams before we do, leave a comment and tell us if it's worth it. Tell us if it needs to stay on our list.
Or tell us if it needs to die.
Yeah. So I did. I asked the people on Instagram. Thanks for answering. It's always a lot of fun to hear what you have to say. And I basically asked that question. If you could go anywhere in the world, what is at the top of your bucket list? Whether it be an experience, country, stay, you get the drift.
Budget is out the window.
Budget is out the window.
Reality out the window.
Yeah, we don't like
Kids,
reality
you
here.
got nannies coming with you. Yeah.
Okay, so let's see what people have to say.
Go for it.
Given that preface. All right, so number 1, they said a safari in Tanzania. I would go on a safari in Tanzania.
We may or may not be covering that, or something like that, in the coming minutes.
Okay. Lapland Christmas vacation to see Santa, but also the Northern Lights. That's like Colin's dream.
I didn't put that on my list today.
Because,
why didn't I?
Because our list, we were like, let's focus on summer activities, because you have a lot of winter activities.
Yeah, you're right. For one that does not like the cold, there's a lot of places I want to go to.
Why do you want to go to Lapland?
Lapland, because you fly into Norway. Finland. Sorry. You fly into Finland, and then you take a train up. You take train up all the way to this little town called, it might be a city, I don't know. It's called Rovaniemi. Apparently, it's the home of Santa Claus. But apparently, as soon as you get off the train, there's reindeer everywhere. And there's, you can go visit Santa himself. You can go stay in these beautiful ice hotels, these hotels with glass windows so you can see the northern lights at night. And apparently, they just do Christmas really well. You can go dog sledding. I want to do all this.
Dog sledding sounds fun. The Northern Lights actually made the list a few times for good reason. A few people said that they wanted to see the Northern Lights
in
various countries.
Me too.
Another person said that they'd spend a month in Italy.
Okay.
That's a dream.
That's also on my list.
A month in Italy?
Well, somewhere in Italy specifically. Yeah.
Gelato, pasta,
pizza,
everything.
Walk till you can't even walk anymore.
I mean, you'd get so many steps in.
Till this day, the one day that I've walked the most, that was 16 miles, was the day that we were in Rome. We had one day in Rome, and boy,
we saw it.
we saw it.
Okay, another person, this is a hard no for me. They said that they want to shark cage dive with big sharks.
No, thank you.
I'm not interested.
No, can we talk about some
red flags?
Yeah.
Okay.
Red flags when it comes to listen, we're in this tourism industry.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of good things, and there's also not a lot of great things.
Babe, this is someone's for real answer.
Well, I'm gonna fight that person.
Okay.
Because
come for Colin.
Yeah, Come, yeah, at me. Well, I just want to have a good conversation about this. And I think maybe there is a scenario in this world where it is done, where it is right. But to me, that just sounds like for a local that goes to that beach where this activity happens.
Yeah.
Right? They're going there barbecuing every day, having a grill out with their kids. And then a bunch of tourists come. And then they're like, oh, we're going to put some meat in the water and attract the sharks so that they can swim with them. But in the meantime, we have kids playing around in the sand and the waves. I don't know. It just feels like if there were bears in my backyard and there were bears in California, I moved to California and go, I'm going to open a bear exhibit. And hey, let's throw some ham out and see what happens.
So maybe a way that this person can experience their dream and also be, I don't know, mindful of local people would be to do it in the middle of the ocean. Like if they're putting a boat.
That's a good option.
Putting a boat in the middle of the ocean, they drop the meat in the cage down, because I think that is what some people do. I think you're referencing maybe what we've seen happen in Hawaii, where it's kind of an excursion and it brings the sharks closer to shore. But if you're like in the middle of the ocean experiencing this, that's not really putting anyone in danger that doesn't want to be there.
Valid.
Okay, touche.
Valid. Do it in the ocean, people.
Okay. This person said a road trip down the Croatian coast.
Haha. It's pretty.
It's so pretty. You know those things that you see on the internet that are like, think this is Italy? It's not.
I've seen so many of those reels. This is not Hawaii. This is not Indonesia.
Yeah.
This is
And
Azores.
It's for good reason. You're highlighting a place that maybe is less popular than the first place mentioned. But
Yeah.
I feel like Croatia often gets grouped with Italy. And I can see the resemblance. I thought Croatia was really beautiful. I remember we spent a month living in Dubrovnik. And it felt like every time you looked out the window, it felt like a postcard.
Felt like a postcard.
I mean, it was just gorgeous.
And we did that road trip. We went all the way up to Split, which is kind of like the base for a lot of the islands that you want to go to. And I actually read an article this morning. There is a town called Pula in Croatia that also has an open air coliseum. It was like, again, it was one of those articles where it was like, go here, not there. And it was like the sister city to, not officially, but to Rome. And it was like, avoid all the tourists, go to Pula. You'll see the beautiful coastline, their history, the Colosseum, the olive oil, the bread, all that's there too.
Yeah, I think that if you're looking for like a coastal vibe, the water, the coastline, the cities very much resemble one another. But then I would also argue if you want to go to Italy, just go to Italy.
Go to Italy.
Yeah.
But because here's the thing that these countries, they have similarities, but there are differences.
So many.
And differences are great.
Yeah.
And you know what? When you go to Italy, you want to walk into the store and hear all the old ladies speak Italian.
Yeah.
And you want to get made fun of by the barista for ordering a latte. You know?
I say problem solve and just go to both.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do Croatia and then hop over to Italy and then come home. I mean,
Yeah.
you're already there. And by there, I mean, you've already crossed the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah.
They're not
You
necessarily
spent the
right
money.
next to each
Swipe
other.
that credit card. Just kidding. Don't. Be mindful of that. But
Okay,
yeah, go.
back to our list. Iceland mentioned again, staying in one of those bubble hotels that we see all over Instagram, which again, I think that would be very dreamy if the person could guarantee me that the night I pay to stay there, there would definitely be Northern Lights.
This is a sore subject. We are probably the worst people to talk about the Northern Lights with.
Yeah, I would agree because we spent time in Iceland. This was like 6.5 years ago. And we timed it when it was like peak Northern Light season. And basically our whole trip, every night was like assessing the sky.
Yeah.
Staying up late, trying to figure out if we were going to miss it. What does the app say? Are they coming tonight? And not that we had a great time in Iceland. It didn't ruin the trip.
But when the sun went down, you would hear our anxiety rising.
Right. And I think we've shared that we saw like a mild version of them our last morning.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the dancing lights that you see. So
They were not dancing.
So it was just kind of green hues painted in the sky.
They were snoozing.
But I think that having some of these expectations are tricky because even if you get to where you want to go, there's no guarantee. That's like going on safari and saying the one thing that you want to do is see I don't know, a leopard.
Yeah.
But then that's the beautiful thing and the hard thing about nature is you can't control it. It's a risk.
It's a risk.
You know what? I just convinced myself why it's worth it.
Why?
Because when the risk pays off, I mean, you just cry. Like when it all actually works out. Here I was trying to talk people out of going to Iceland to see the Northern Lights. But do you know what would happen if I see them the next time we go? I would be like I would just be weeping. Like it would be so beautiful. And so maybe it is kind of the
You
payoff.
would be a puddle of tears, and that tears would reflect the Northern Lights,
Yeah.
and you'll have double Northern Lights.
Those moments are just once in a lifetime. So
That's what makes travel so good,
I know.
right?
It really
is those
is.
little moments like that. I'll tell you what makes travel not great.
What?
Driving 6 hours to Fairbanks and not seeing any.
That was true.
Because that was our second attempt.
You know what? So the day that we actually see the sky dance green, we will be like
Puddles
of tears.
I hope
mean,
so.
we've given so much effort to being in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
That one day it's gonna work out for us. I know it.
We have sat in freezing cars with our kids, y'all. Come on.
Come on. Okay, let's see the last one. And this is gonna lend us right into what we're talking about today.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go first.
Okay.
She said that she wants to go gorilla trekking in Rwanda.
Mm.
And did that make number 1 on my list? You betcha.
Wow.
So now let's talk about our dreams, things that are on the top of our bucket list. And I would say number 1 to me is trekking to see silverback gorillas in Rwanda.
Take
That's
me
number
there.
1.
Tell me about it.
Well, I read all about it. So the price point can be a little bit steep.
How steep? Doesn't matter.
I mean, not including airfare. Yeah, right. Doesn't matter. Not including airfare.
Yeah.
I saw packages from like 5,000 up.
Is that per person?
That was per person.
Aish.
I know. But this is the thing. You get to see these gorillas in the wild. A trek to go find them can take anywhere from 2 to 8 hours. So I actually saw somebody, they left a tip and they said if you basically in the morning they kind of find where all the families are and then they assign your group, okay, you're going to go find this family, you're going to go find this family. So if you want a shorter trek, then you just speak up at that moment and you're like, hey, I kind of have a weak ankle. And then you get to...
That's me right there.
This was a comment.
I really do have weak ankles.
This was a comment that someone left, if you don't want the 8-hour trek, just make sure you speak up. But I'm like, bro, you just put that on the internet. So now probably everyone's like, I've got a weak ankle. But you get once you actually get there, you're going through the jungle. I mean, they said you wear boots. It's probably wet. I mean, you're just finding them. But these gorillas, you going is actually benefiting gorilla conservation because depending on the price of your trip, upwards of 50% of your trip cost goes directly back to the conservation to protect the gorillas. So that's why you have to get a license. You have to go with a certified agency. There are only so many permits that are given per day. It's all very structured and organized, but money goes back to helping the gorillas. And because so many people go visit them, so basically every day they have humans looking at them for an hour.
Wow. Oh, you get 1 hour.
You get 1 hour.
Okay.
And by the time you get there, they start a timer and you've got 1 hour.
Oh gosh, I'd be so anxious.
Well, they said that they encouraged people to spend the first 30 minutes taking photos and then the second half an hour to put your cameras away because it's a once in a lifetime experience to see them. But there are also, there's a little bit of anxiety seeing things.
I love that they say that.
Yeah, there's a little bit of anxiety seeing things in the wild, right? Because you're like, how is that animal going to respond to me? But because these gorillas encounter humans often, they're a little bit, what's the word that I'm looking for?
Not shy?
No, kind of...
Used to? They're phased.
They're unfazed.
Unfazed.
Yeah, they're unfazed by the presence of humans. It's not seen as a threat.
That's
and so
cool.
obviously you have a guide with you that goes over all the things to do and not to do.
Yeah.
But as I'm reading it, I was just like, this has to happen. I don't know. I mean, we'd have to save for a decade, but I would love, literal, this is why I think I'm addicted to traveling because even talking about it, I feel emotional. I have tears in my eyes. That's so ridiculous.
I can attest for that.
I know. So anyway, that's number 1 on my list.
Megan, I've never seen you cry about animals before.
What?
Yeah.
I cried when we saw whales in Hawaii.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I cried when we saw. This is not going to become like a list it, but like when we found the elephants with the
you're
girls,
right.
I cried.
Dang it, you've cried more than I have.
I know. I'm the bigger animal lover. Okay, back to your list.
So
That's
you
my
don't
number
watch
one.
animal shows on Netflix like I do.
Is that a prerequisite?
I don't know. Is it my turn or is it still your turn?
No, that was it. Number one. I want to see gorillas in the wild.
Okay. Mine is not too far off from Rwanda. We're staying in the same continent.
Oh, fun.
But this is easy bucket list. I'm sure everyone kind of has it subconsciously in their brain too. But you want to go see a safari. Go do a safari. I feel like that's like, gosh, we've been able to do it one time. And if that's the only time I ever gotten to do it, like, I'm already so grateful. And I remember crying. Hey, guess what? I did cry when I saw the lions and in the Masai Mara. So we got to go in Kenya many, many years ago. And the cool thing I've learned about safaris today that I was reading up on it is that there are more and more budget options now than ever before. You know, it used to be this thing where like only the elite can go. I felt like that. But more and more so, even when we went, I felt like we did the budget route.
I mean, there's an airport literally right next to Masai Mara that people can fly in on. But no, did we do that?
No.
No, we had an 8-hour drive.
Oh, well, I have a surprise for you.
Okay.
I actually found some old voice notes that I recorded from the Mara in 2016 with our guide Peter. You ready? We made our way to Masai Mara, but the journey should only take us normally how long, Peter?
6 hours.
But it took us
12 hours.
It was a long freaking day.
and so yeah, we pretty much did a budget version. You had a friend of a friend. His name was Peter, and he does his own safari tours. But other people got to do, you know, when you think of safari, you think of the Jeep with the drop down, everything's open, and you're just cruising. Well, we kind of did it in a 12-passenger van that was
It still had a pop-up.
It still had the pop-up, and it still had the elevated seats. Like, it was definitely rigged for a safari. But yeah, I think we paid $100 a day, didn't we?
I don't remember, but it was very affordable. Yeah.
But yeah, and we did 2 days in Amara, and that was like, and Peter was our guide the moment we landed in Nairobi till the day we left. So we kind of just paid him by the day. But there are more and more options now to do budget options in the Mara. Here's another clip. And then we went to a small herd of elephants, and the male elephant blew at us and got angry because we were too close to his family. And then these rangers showed up trying to give us a fine. Well, I don't know what the status is. Maybe Peter is still fined.
Are you fine?
No, we were not fined. Actually, I proved myself innocent.
Oh.
Yes. We were not off track. And actually, one of the rangers told me, get out of this place. Yeah.
Good. Basically, we saw this herd of elephants,
And
remember?
we got really close.
And I think the patriarch or the matriarch, like, the whole trunk that got us.
I remember.
And everyone panicked. So Peter was like in reverse. And then all of a sudden, these rangers came out. I'm like, oh, you got off track by like 4 inches. We're going to find you. And there was this huge debacle. But basically, you have these roads and paths that you got to stay on to see the animals. Unless you pay extra, you can go off track.
I mean, come on. You can pay a price to do just about anything.
Right.
Special treatment.
Yeah. This is the last clip I'm going to share. But this is what made that experience so cool. We found the one and only, what did we see?
Black rhino.
How often do people see the black rhino?
Very rare.
Yeah. Do you see like how many times a year?
Maybe like 6 times in a year.
Which is still pretty good.
No.
No, there's
not good.
Those are 12 months.
But it's pretty rare.
And you know, between July and October, sometimes in a month we come like here 4 times. And we never see anything.
So on our first day, we got to see the big 5, and one of them was a black rhino. And there's basically 2 main species, the white and the black. And the black ones are almost extinct. And I've watched a lot of videos of them. I kind of know the differences between the two, and I saw the one from afar, and I didn't want to sound like a fool. And I was like, what kind of rhino is that? And that's when Peter was like, that is a black rhino. It's super rare. And that was when I about cried too.
I would say that, yeah, it was a once in a lifetime experience. And I also have this memory because we brought Charlotte with us. She was like 9 or 10 months old at the time.
Oh, and you can hear it in those little voice
Her little
notes.
baby cries. And I think I'd like to go back with them as bigger kids, because I think what we got to experience, I want our kids to experience. And that's seeing wildlife thriving in nature and not in zoos. And so, I think zoos are fine. I'm not anti-zoo. We went to one this weekend, but I do think there's something really special about seeing wildlife thrive in nature. So I hope that we can take the girls back, because that's on my bucket list, is experiencing all of those things with them, being able to understand the significance of it.
Yeah, and I've been training them. Our kids are pros at seeing animals, aren't they?
Yeah, even last night we were driving home, and Colin, there's like this field,
I'll call it Deerland.
And we drive through kind of at dusk, and all the deer come out to eat, and the girls just like love. We go like 5 miles an hour, and they're looking for deer. I mean, if our kids see a groundhog,
oh man,
a bunny, a deer, or a squirrel
Yeah.
from the car.
Well, squirrel not anymore.
That's true. They're
Yeah.
kind of like, oh, there's too many around.
Yeah.
But if they see any of those things while we're driving, it's like they have seen a unicorn. I mean, they start screaming, groundhog, groundhog. So yeah, I think they definitely are getting that wildlife appreciation gene from you and I.
If I'm not good at anything else in parenting, I've done a good job at that.
You have.
Instilling some wonder.
They love animals.
All right, Megan, take us away.
So another thing that I can't wait to do is experience a New Zealand summer.
Wow.
Yeah, it's all on my bucket list.
This is why we are such a good couple.
Why?
Because everything that you say I want to do, I just forgot to put on my list.
Well, there you have it.
Wow.
So New Zealand has just been this kind of, I don't know. I think because it's really hard to get to. Mm-hmm. That's intriguing.
Yeah.
It's got some beautiful mountains. I mean, it's just known for having it's just known for being really beautiful.
Yeah.
And so that's really, I don't even have a specific list of things that I want to see.
Yeah.
I just want to start at the top, and I want to rent a van or an RV, or maybe stay in bougie hotels. We'll just have to see when we go.
I'm nixing RV.
Okay.
Our limit is 6 days.
That's true. It's going to take longer than 6 days.
We've experimented, and 6 is pushing it.
So it's going to take longer than that to circle the whole country. But I just have this kind of fantasy idea of what it would be like to hike, to go to Milford Sound, to eat fish and chips, to see sunsets over the mountains, like all of these things.
Do they eat fish and chips in New Zealand?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's an island. To eat seafood.
So is Jamaica.
Okay.
Not
I'm
known
sure
for fish and chips.
I didn't say they were known for it. I just said I wanted to eat it there.
Okay. It just sounds islandy.
It just sounds good.
Okay.
Sorry. I can't wait to eat tacos in New Zealand.
I heard their burgers are really good.
Did you?
Yeah.
But yeah, that is just on my list. I don't even have specifics other than if you haven't looked at images or photos from the different landscapes there, you should check it out and you're going to be sold. It just has always kind of been looming in the background.
Yeah.
If there was ever a cheap flight deal that came in for New Zealand, like it's one of those places that I may not even ask for permission. And I would just purchase them without telling you and then ask for forgiveness.
This is dangerous, because the next thing I was going to say is, for all you people listening from California, United Airlines has just launched direct flights to Christchurch, to Auckland, to Wellington.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah, and it just started around January this year, actually. So it's not new news, but there is more competition, which they have brought the price down. But still, you got to be on the West Coast.
Yeah.
So to all you West Coasters out there, Lamb, lucky you.
I know what I'm doing tonight.
What?
Looking at flights from the West Coast.
And then you'd be like, hey, I got a cousin we got to see in California. And they're like, oh, we're here.
What's next on your list?
All right, now I'm going to take you to Italy. We're going back to Italy because there's always reason to go back to Italy. But this time, it's more specific. It's more about the island of Sardinia. Dramatic pause.
I don't know anything about that island.
Okay, great. Well, this is a year-round destination, and it's obviously most popular in the summer. You should definitely try to go in the shoulder seasons to avoid the tourists and celebrities. Apparently, all the celebrities love Sardinia. And it's an island that is just like cove after cove. They got mountains, they got cool rocks. And I'm telling you, these mountains, they look like dinosaurs that are just jetted out of the ocean. They might be a huge fossil. I don't know. But it's that beautiful. There's think like the most pristine waters and like tiny white sailboats just blobbing around everywhere. Blobbing. And then you have your Aperol spritz and then your pizza that's fresh baked out the oven. Oh, today I'm just feeling some carbonara. So you're going to have some carbonara, or you're going to have some seafood, because the seafood's going to be great too. But this is a trip where you kind of just get an Airbnb in a rental car and you just road trip the whole island. I would say it is a little hard to get to, but you can get budget airlines and cheap flights if you're in major cities in Europe already. So I would say this is kind of like a pairing, not a easy place to get to. But if you're already going to Rome, if you're already going to Milan, then you're like, you know what? I kind of want to explore some nature of Italy. Then you go to Sardinia on a budget airline like Ryanair, Wizz Air, Transavia, all that stuff. EasyJet, and buy your $14 flights to Sardinia, right? So let's talk about Sardinia. It's known for boat rides, swimming. It's known for their suckling pig. It's known for their wild horses. And it's a great place for kids. There's also a lot of theme parks there. There's this little train that's green. They call it the Trenino Verde. And this train will get you to these villages that are hard to get to. And so it feels like a fun summer destination.
I've never even heard of it, and I had no idea it was on your list. I love it. Okay, back to me. Are you ready? I've got a lot of old faithful things on my list that we still haven't done. My next one is seeing the Great Wall of China.
Again, I'm half Chinese, and I didn't put that on my list.
I've never been to China.
You're the love of my life.
I've never been to China. It's kind of an OG on my bucket list. I mean, you can see the thing from space. It just feels very epic. There's a part of history. It's always been something that I wanted to experience. And I think, when all the countries closed over the last couple years and that part of the world was a hard close, I think it's kind of intrigued me a little bit more to want to experience it. And not to say I took it for granted because we've never been. I know that it's part of your family's heritage, and that's just made it all the more appealing to me that I just kind of want to see it up close. And so, yeah, I want to go to the Great Wall. I want to see it. I'm sure there are a million other experiences in China that I would add to that list, but that's just kind of like, I want to make sure that gets crossed off when we finally do get to go there.
Do you know that you can go camping on the Great Wall of China?
I'm interested in glamping on the Great Wall of China.
Okay, well, this is like hardcore. I read about it. Our friends Jared and Alicia
on Instagram
/Nomatosaurus.
They're Nomatosaurus.
They are absolute legends. They're basically our mentors, kind of.
We're gonna call them that.
Yeah.
Whether they like it or not, they've taught us a lot. But we'll also link their stuff in the show notes because you need to follow them.
But Jared and Alicia, and again, the Great Wall of China, pretty much. I mean, it's a lot of wall because it's a big country, and so there are places where it's super built up and established and preserved. And then there's just places where, like a random town, you can find a way to the wall. And so that's what Jared and Alicia did. They did a hike, a late afternoon hike, and then pretty much camped out on the Great Wall by themselves.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that sounds pretty cool. Though I think I would be fine with experiencing it that way, or I'd be fine if I was surrounded by tourists.
Yeah,
there are some things that like your expectation is that you'll just be in a swarm of people.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was my thought for the Great Wall. But if we could experience it by ourselves, I mean, that would be even more epic.
Right. Yeah.
Wow. So anyway, that's on my list. It also helps that our girls love Chinese food.
They love Chinese food. Thanks to me. Okay, I've done two things well as a parent.
Taught them to love wildlife
and groundhogs.
And you've taught them
Chinese
to love Chinese food.
Yeah.
But yeah, they kind of have a fascination with China just because so many of the temples and buildings are so ornate. They stand out in television shows, in books, in photos, and their girls just have always asked, where is that from? Or what are we watching? Where do they live? And anytime it's China, they're like very interested.
I don't know why.
I think it's
I'm
just
so
because
happy.
I think it's because everything just looks very.
It's different.
It's different.
The complete opposite of what I'm looking out our window right now.
Right. You
Yeah.
mean no vinyl siding?
No vinyls. I mean, pine trees. I mean, I'm sure there's pine trees there, but just your average American suburb,
Right.
compared to the forbidden city in, Beijing. Way to go, Megan. All right, I got one. And it's actually a place that we're going to check off our bucket list this year.
Wow.
I know. And we're headed to Indonesia, y'all. But I'm about to share a combo. So I've always wanted to go to Bali. Because I feel like that's the rite of passage. If you love travel, you got to go to Bali. I feel like that's travel 201. Like once you, or maybe 401. Once you check that off, you'll be like, okay, you're a proper traveler now. So we got to go to Bali to graduate. And do our, rice fields, eat our Indonesian food, and I don't know, do all the stuff there. And it's always intrigued me because I am, after all, made in Indonesia.
Good to know.
Yep. I wasn't born there. I was made there.
Okay, this is a family podcast. Let's move on.
Well, yeah. Anyways, so I've always, in where I grew up in Tawau, Malaysia, it's pretty much on the border of Indonesia. And so a lot of what I grew up with resembled more Indonesian culture rather than what you see in Peninsula Malaysia. When I speak Malay, it sounds Indonesian to a person from Kuala Lumpur. They're like, oh, are you from Jakarta? I'm like, no, I'm from Malaysia. And so the food that we eat, the people that I grew up with, Indonesian culture, I just feel this certain draw to. So we're going to Bali. We are, with my IHG Premier card, we were able to use our free nights for our hotel there. So it's a great credit card if you want to just focus on hotel stays. Because I feel like we've done a lot of homework and legwork to find cheap flights. I feel like that we're good at. But then affording the in-country expenses, that's something that we are just now entering, I feel like.
Yeah.
So this is the first trip where we're like, oh, our points can cover our hotel stays now. And so the cool thing about with IHG is if you use your points for an award stay for 3 nights, the 4th night is free. So we're staying in Bali for 4 nights for free at the Intercontinental. Apparently it's a nicer chain. I don't know. I've never been.
Don't tell us if it's not.
Don't tell us if it's not. But we're going to do all the things in Bali. I hope that we can swim with dolphins. I hope that we can chill at cafes and look at some beautiful rice fields. I'll eat so many Indonesian food. And the best part is we're getting some massages.
I was going to say, wasn't there another place that you wanted to go right next to Bali?
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Oh.
Yeah, I gotta do the Bali stuff first.
We did have an entire conversation about how we could afford daily massages, and that just sounds...
Right.
And we also saw other travel creators that got a nanny
Yeah.
in Bali.
Other family travel creators.
And so now I'm intrigued.
Right.
Though I would love if Colin's family were able to come with us to Bali, that's still an option. Then we could get some date nights.
Yeah.
But if they say no, I might be hitting up a nanny service because
Right.
that sounds like a dream.
Yeah. And these are like friends of ours. So I trust them and I trust their judgment. But yeah, we can get nannies, we can get massages. And then I kind of don't want to do the monkey forest temple thing that everybody does. I'm terrified of monkeys. So we're going to off that list. But then from there, we're going to go to a place that I've wanted to go to. So I'm checking off 2 things on the bucket list, and that is the Komodo Islands. And you have to fly into another town called Labuan Bajo. And then from there, you do day trips to the Komodo Islands National Parks. And there's this one island. Mm-hmm. Well, there's the island with all the Komodo dragons, which, yes, I want to see them. And I want to do my tourist selfie with them. And then you go on a hike to this island called Padar. You like how I'm touching
you keep
your shoulder?
patting me.
Because I want you to be excited about
I'm
this.
excited.
But this island, once you hike to the top, it's like a 30-40 minute hike. This island, you can get a picture of it. And you will see white sand, gray sand, and pink sand. All on one island. I mean, come on.
That's pretty cool.
So yeah, that's going to be like a few days trip. And then we're going to go back to Bali and hit up any other things that we missed. Maybe swimming with manta rays. I don't know. See some beautiful beaches. I want to ride scooters. I want to rent mopeds and ride around safely.
I was going to say.
I'll do that by myself.
Yeah, I've heard some horror stories.
Okay.
It's pretty crowded.
Right.
But we're going to get around.
I'm going to get a food tour booked for us.
Oh, I definitely want a food tour.
Yeah. And I want...
Maybe we could rent a moped like the night that the girls are with the nanny.
Yeah, sure. I want to get some babi guling. Do you know what that is?
No.
It's suckling pig. Basically pig that you roll around. And that was actually the nickname. Oh my gosh, full circle. When my parents came and visited us and Liv was 6 months old, my mom nicknamed her Babi Guling. She was so chubby in her thighs.
Oh, she was so cute.
I know. Anyways, we're going to go to Bali and do all that fun stuff. So that is all I have on my list. Do you got one more to close us out?
I don't. I have kind of like some just bullet points. So these are just places these are experiences that I'm going to mention just quickly.
Okay.
Of things that I want to experience in my lifetime. So are you ready? And you can jump in if anything comes to mind.
Okay.
So I want to experience the Holi festival in India.
Oh, yes, me too.
I want to go to Cappadocia in Turkey. And I want to see all the hot air balloons rise up at sunrise.
Sure. Can I one-up you on that?
Sure.
Am I allowed to?
Yeah.
I read in the same article of Go This Not There that Cappadocia is crowded, and guess where the next place is? Saudi Arabia.
Oh, that's cool.
We need to do a deep dive on Saudi Arabia because let me tell y'all, that's going to be the next #1 destination in the world.
I want to glamp in the Sahara Desert.
In Morocco?
Yep. I want to go to the Great Barrier Reef in Australia.
Okay.
We saw a hotel there where you can actually sleep underwater. And I want to do that.
It's a giant boat, and your room has a big window.
And you can see the ocean from your bed.
Right.
I mean,
you can see Nemo and Bruce.
That's about as deep as I want to go in the ocean, but I feel okay.
Okay.
I feel okay there. And then, there's so many things. I want to see Machu Picchu in Peru. Are you taking me to all these places?
You bet I am.
I want to go on a cruise to Antarctica, which again, that comes at a high price point.
Okay.
But I do think it's something that we can...
That's our 50-year anniversary. Yeah. We're coming up on 10. 40 more.
40 more, you can take me on that cruise.
Yeah.
I think I'll end it there. But
we'll get retirement by then.
Or maybe just by then the girls will be well off and they'll be like, hey, Mom and Dad, thanks for all you did. We want to send you on a cruise.
Yep. I married the Royal Prince of Moldova. Yeah.
Oh, man. But that was fun. That is a long list. I love talking. I think the cool thing about travel is whether it's a country or an experience, there's always something unique that you can look forward to. Things are always changing, getting better, or new discoveries. That was a lot of fun.
I know. I love talking about travel.
I love talking about travel too. Maybe we should start a podcast.
Oh gosh. Well, folks, that's all the time we have for this week's. Tune in for next week's episode where we talk about... Not telling you, it's a secret. Folks, do not forget to pack snacks. Moms and dads, have a great rest of your summer. Bye.
Bye.